Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ryan J Downy with Knotfest.com, and I am here with Hyro and Mr. Brandon from the band Atreyu. What's up, guys?
How are you, friend?
Well,
Man, I'm all good, man. Thank you, brother. Thanks for having us, man. So epic, brother. Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely very happy to do it, and especially hoping that it's going to be the first of many with you, Hyro, because you have many exciting guests, like the gentleman we're joined by right now. Um, why don't you tell me a little bit about how this whole project came together and how you sort of ended up, deciding all the different people you wanted to collaborate with and
Yeah.
where Brandon fit into
Well,
the picture.
I started working off with when I signed to Better Noise. They showed me a lot of love, man. You know what I'm saying? They believed in me and everything. So much love to Better Noise. And they put me in the room with Matt Good, who've been killing it lately. You know, he worked with Asking Alexandria and all them, you know what I'm saying? And he comes from Skrillex back in the days, from first to last band. Yeah,
Yep.
so that was epic. So he put that sauce into a lot of the songs we were working on, man. And it was just so epic. And this is like pre-COVID. So I had all these tracks ready, you know what I'm saying? But then all this COVID stuff happened. And I'm like, damn, I'm on hold. So, you know, me and my management, everybody came together, like, what we gonna do, man? You know what I'm saying? I was like, bro, these fire. So, man, they started shooting them around, you know what I'm saying? And it was really like amazing for me because it just showed how much respect I have in the rock industry. You know what I'm saying? I built it up. I've been here for a while, man. You know, people don't know me. And what I want fans to understand is when like a David Draymond or Chad Gray or Brandon, you know what I'm saying, or Spencer, when they give me that stamp where I'm gonna be on your song and I'm gonna introduce you to the fan base we built up for years, that's because I've actually gained the respect of these people, man. So I thank them a lot for everything, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
that's how that started up, man. I started shooting them out, people at home chilling during COVID. So I'm like, yo, let's get them then, you know, send it to David, send it to Brandon, send it to Chad. And, yo, they all show me love, man.
everybody's sitting around doing what we're doing right now.
Yes.
Talking to people on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. So Brandon, what was your first exposure to Hyro, to his music, and when did you first hear about him, and how did you become familiar?
So my first initial discovery of Hyro goes pretty far back, actually. When I was doing the first, I think it might have been the first Hell or High Water record with Fred Archambault. And he was always like, yo, this dude Hyro's kind of killing it. He's like getting more into like rock, and he's, kind of told me the story. And so I had my eye kind of from afar because we had never met, and really like the touring world had not kind of collided yet. But when it came really into my focus was what, 2 summers ago on Disrupt Tour. And it was kind of like, you see Hyro play once and you're like, all right, this dude's the real deal. Like, this is the truth. And like, I mean, I've told you this too before, like multiple members of our band would go catch your set like as often as possible, because whether there was like 15 people and you're like playing at doors, or like you had the big amphitheater stage, like you go fucking bananas, and like you're going harder than most people do, in some of these, rock bands that were born and raised in this scene, So I've talked to you, Hyro, a couple times about your kind of influences coming into this, and looking at dudes like looking at Rage Against the Machine and Pearl Jam, and like kind of all these frontmen that just were fucking wild, and like it shows. That's why I think you have respect from a lot of these people, because I think they've all seen you play, and they're like, okay, this isn't just like a gimmick of like, oh, like now you're playing rock band, because that's a thing. That's definitely a thing where like, like especially in hip hop today, there's some people that do it correctly. There's a lot of people that are just like, oh, I'm gonna play rock band now.
It's rock.
Yeah.
They're gonna love it. They'll love it.
Yeah. There's some people that are criticizing everyone's footwear.
Yeah.
Wow. While wearing sneakers, oddly enough, themselves.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? To each their own. I totally agree with you, Brandon. My impression of Hyro was the same, especially the energy, the presence as a performer. And you remind me of all the frontmen Brandon mentioned, and I would also say Daryl from Glassjaw.
For sure.
Jason Butler from Let Live and Fever. Just
he's
that
crazy though. He's real crazy, man.
bringing that intensity.
Wow.
You know? Yeah. Greg from Dillinger Escape Plan is another one. Like those frontmen that are really like.
I seen him walk on people's heads.
Right.
This is when I was learning what I can and can't do on the stage. He can walk on people's heads. Let's go.
We had a conversation that like last week or something, and he was like, "Yo," he's like, "I see dudes jumping off like the side fills," and I'm like, "Well, I could touch those. I didn't know I was supposed to touch those." Like learning in this world, like, oh shit, like I can stand on the drums.
Yeah, exactly. It was all a learning process for me, man, and it was so dope because I'm like getting part of it and learning each step. And I was saying, I think my last one is that Pearl Jam DVD. I was like, okay, this is just, I got to do this.
Yeah, when he was just like scaling, like, death defying. Yeah, that's wild. So at what point did you start talking about collaborating together musically? And what was that like when that came?
I think it was like a disrupt talk. And you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of disrupt talks of that going on. So make it happen. So I'm happy. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think it was always like, oh, we should do some shit together. And then when it actually comes across your desk, so to speak, you're like, all right, cool. Like it wasn't even. The funny thing is there was obviously the connection too, because Travis and Dan had a little bit of a hand in writing some of this, or its original origin of the song, and then it transformed into this version. But so like they were already kind of involved. And then,
that's interesting. Before there was ever even a thought that would be the track you would be on.
Yeah, I was Travis and them making songs before Disrupt Tour, you know what I'm saying? And we was rocking, and he made a song, man, and I was like, bro, I gotta spit these words on it, and I spit the words. Then we didn't end up using that track, kind of went to the back a little bit, then came to Mac Good, and I was like, bro, these lyrics are so sick, I gotta do it. So I put it on there, man, boom, we making the record, in full circle, they know the lyrics, man. Like, bro, this is the one. You know?
Yeah,
that's for sure. Great. That's like some serendipity.
Yeah. But it worked out. I mean, like I said before, it was kind of just like came across my proverbial desk, which I will call just my phone. And it was like, it was kind of no brainer for me.
Yeah. So obviously the pandemic and the lockdown has changed the way that everyone's creating, recording, producing and all that. But by the same turn, a lot of things had already moved remote. A lot of bands are, have an engineer or somebody in the band, or, there's been a lot more DIY sort of recording techniques.
Yeah.
What would you say for you, Hyro, and then Brandon for your contribution here too? What have you learned over this past year in terms of the way that you adapted to all of this that you think you might hold on to and apply going down the road? Like for me as a journalist, I had certain people over the years who would say, dude, I can't do a podcast with you over Skype. Like, just wait until we see each other in person again. Yeah. And now that's like all melted away. And I'm stoked on that as like a glass half full, Yeah. I like being able to sit here in my house.
Well, I'd say I learned you can do so much and don't have to be in Los Angeles per se or New York. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I came back to Texas right now for a bit. And bro, I'm handling everything, doing this stuff like that. So I learned that in the process. But I've also learned, I don't want to say learn, but it was like an amazing opportunity for me to really dive into social media, you know what I'm saying? And then also it was an amazing opportunity for me to show my production skills, because during the quarantine, I started remixing old rock songs. I remixed Slipknot, I remixed, I know there's a lot of people, like my Poison is one of them I remix, but I wanted people to hear rock in a whole nother way, you know what I'm saying? Also, I wanted them to see like, yo, how the hell he know about these bands? He must really know rock. You know
right.
Things like that. So I was happy for that opportunity. I learned a lot of things. And I'll say one thing, if you didn't learn nothing during COVID, you're slipping, man. You had nothing but time and everything. You know what I'm saying? So took advantage of that opportunity and learned different trades. Learn how to work OBS and Twitch. And I mean, Brandon got that down though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So things an artist would never think he had to do, he had to do.
Absolutely. Similar like with me. the biggest thing was learning Twitch and learning that whole world, opening that up, because that's something that definitely will continue for myself, and even like our bass player is on Twitch a lot, and but that, and then really just like, I don't know, that's kind of been the main kind of focus, really, you know, has been, I spent a lot of time just like getting into that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think a big part too is what we all got to focus on too is kind of like marketing, like self-marketing, because during this whole pandemic, like all a band had was maybe a live stream, merch, and like some sort of something to like give away, you know what I mean, to like give away or provide. So it really made us kind of really hone on in as a band and like figure out like, how do we keep the train rolling, how do we keep the machine like going, keep, you know, ship afloat without having shows and all these things. So we spent a lot of time really like thinking hard and digging deep into like cool things to create and ways to do merch and all these kind of different things like that, just to keep the band seemingly active, you know.
Yeah, in people's consciousness, like you're aware that there's things happening when it's not the band coming to your town every few months or whatever. Yeah,
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's amazing. But it also makes me miss the mystery that you could have had as an artist back then without the internet. I wish I was this mysterious artist, but nah, that's not happening anymore.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, there is a balance, right, of trying to preserve some mystique and also being accessible, because there's an amount of accessibility that fans expect nowadays. In some extreme instances, that can turn to an entitlement, but for the most part, I think it's pretty chill.
I think, unfortunately, the mystique now, when someone has mystique, the word has changed in fans' perspective as they're an asshole. Like when you want to be like leave me alone, or like when you want to be unknown, it's like, oh, he's a dick.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's true. But I don't think that's true
either. But it can be interpreted that way, of course.
Yes,
and in some situations, of course, it's true. Yeah, I think that this genre, this subculture, whatever you want to call it, that you know, each of you is a participant in this community. It was a little bit predisposed to be, you know, this was kind of advantageous in that it's a genre where that audience and performer connection is so strong. And there's always been this idea of like, I'm just like you know, you could be up on this stage, I could be up against that barricade. It's an exchange of energy that certain other genres always have that distance between the, like, I'm the star and you are the audience way over there. So I think that, you know, this type of music, you guys were a little more poised to be able to just like, well, we're used to having this connection. So now we just got to figure out how to do it through these platforms.
I think too, like with rock, metal, hardcore, even, there's so much more of a sense of ownership with a fan that a fan has than, say, like a pop artist or whatever other genres, where it's like there's such a sense of like, oh, this is my band, like I love, like, you know what I mean?
I know
like,
this band,
you feel like you know them, whereas like certain pop stars and celebrities that you follow, it's more like you're looking at the fish tank in the aquarium, and that's like another form of life. Whereas like the bands we all love, even if we've never met them or never will meet them, it's like you feel like you know that person, you know?
Yeah.
No, I love that's Absolutely. What I love about it, man. I know my fans feel like they know me, and then I write to them all. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it reaches a point where I can't write to everybody, but I try to write to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And they know me.
Hopefully, it will.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully, that's the point.
That's what you strive for. Like, man, I can't write back to all these messages anymore.
Yeah, I know, man. Or just sit all day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's funny.
So what would you say, you know, both of you being, you know, I know both of you to be students of this music in the sense that you're aware of like the history and the bands that have been important and all that sort of stuff. With this current project for you, Hyro, and Brandon, for you as somebody who's participating in it, what do you think this has to offer, maybe in terms of things that it's resurrecting that are familiar to us, things that it's doing that are new, you know, like this coming out right now, what does it bring into the landscape that wouldn't be there without it right now?
I feel like it's such an opportunity to bring rap rock genre vibe into, you know what I'm saying, slowly creeping into mainstream when everybody's ears are open to everything. You get what I'm saying? 'Cause genres had blended so much that You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I told somebody else before, and it's hard to be an elitist now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just did not, but everything is mixed up so much. You get what I'm saying? So I love the fact that it's all mixed up like that, and it's just amazing feeling, man. And I actually just forgot the question. What was the question? Let me answer.
You basically answered it. Like
I
what are you putting out there? What are you putting out there that wouldn't otherwise be out there right now without you?
Okay, yeah, and I feel like this is introducing rap rock in a new way. And when I say new way, because now we got like super epic production that's super loud. So I'm giving 808s, trap snares, you know what I'm saying? It's hidden in a different way. So I say that much. I like to imagine because everybody compare me to Rage Against the Machine all the time because I sound like Zach, I guess. So I always like Rage Against the Machine, but with 808s and all.
Right, right. Yeah.
Imagine.
Because Rage Against the Machine was like rapping over Led Zeppelin with guitars. That's kind of and this is like
no track,
a different thing. And I mean that respectfully. I love Rage.
Yeah.
But
it's funny. I was talking to my wife earlier today about, we were talking about just like the way music is cycles and how everything always comes back. We're like at like a store at the mall, and it was like, you're just laughing at how 90s everything is clothing wise. Like everything's like straight out of like Blossom, and like girls clothes are like, what the fuck, like Scoop, like everything looks silly, but like
big baggy tie-dye Nirvana shirts.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
exactly.
This was when I was in high school. Yeah.
Yeah. But it all I feel like everything is cyclical, and every time it comes back around, it's more extreme than it was the time before. Yeah. So you see it, like we mentioned earlier, like a lot of what I'm seeing now, I do like. A lot of it I don't like. Like you see the kind of resurgence of pop punk and like the whole emo night thing that came back and really opened that end of the rock world up to a more mass populace. Like people that don't know shit about shit were like, oh, but I do know that Take Back Sunday song, and I will go on Monday night and get hammered and go to emo night. You know what I'm saying? Or like, and then you have, like I said, like hip hop artists that are really taking on like the hip hop or pop punk identity. You have dudes like Jairus Johnson that are like, you know, taking hip hop and you know, kind of new metal almost, and trying to put them together. Good or bad, it's existing.
Yeah.
I think that Hyro is a perfect example of the fact that I think that what's next is just the more extreme version of music. So like if you're super pop punk was mixed with everything, it's like, okay, like metal will come back, or hardcore or hard rock will be the next thing to come full circle again. And it's like the more aggressive version of whatever. So like Hyro doing what you do, being like, oh, this is like hip hop and I can dig it because it's hip hop. But at the same time, like, oh fuck, this music's kind of scary and loud and like heavy, and I want to push people. Like it's just, I think that's the next natural progression of something that's what's going to exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, basically, rock about to take over soon. We coming.
About every 20 years.
Yeah. About every 20 years.
Every 20 years.
And then EDM gets sprinkled in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
And then they go back.
Well again. Said. And Hyro, I think you're absolutely correct as well about elitism. Given, you know, once upon a time, you could look at someone and go, oh, that person listens to this kind of music and that kind of music exclusively, you know. Oh, look at that dude with long hair and a denim jacket with patches on it. He likes thrash metal, and that's it. And I would argue that, you know, it goes back 20 something years now, you know, or whatever, to iTunes and the iPod, and people being able to get so much more music and mix it up to where, you know, a generation now has grown up with every genre at their fingertips and now loves and appreciates so much more. So it's not weird. It used to be like, you know, I'm a metal person, but I also like Johnny Cash. And it's like, whoa, that's crazy and edgy.
You what?
and now it's like everybody likes everything, you know?
So right.
Because everything's accessible. Everything is just there for you. And like, I know people still have guilty pleasures. Like I know me personally, like the concept of guilty pleasures faded away when I was like in my early mid 20s.
Right.
Yeah. I stopped giving a shit about like being like, oh, like I remember like in my mid 20s and being like, what are you listening to? And be like, me and my wife been busting that new Taylor Swift, and it's so good. And not caring, being like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you know, and like, so it's like I think a lot of people just don't care anymore. Also, because like we spoke about earlier, like everyone's genres are just bending in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have Kardashians wearing fucking Slayer shirts. Like
Yeah,
whether it's just
Yeah.
whether it's just fashion or the actual
Yeah.
music, it's all blending together anyways.
As
Yeah.
long as it's and the thing is, well, it's kind of funny you had said that because me a little bit opposite. When I first started learning rock, I'm like listening to Nickelback. I'm like, yeah, I'm so punk rock. Look at me listening to that. Telling people, like, you heard the new Nickelback, man? Oh, fuck.
They're like, no.
But it's not even a guilty pleasure because now, you know what I'm saying, nostalgic purposes, Nickelback come back. And you gonna play the fuck out of that Nickelback goddamn song, you know what I'm saying?
Whether people hate Nickelback or any big, gigantic band for that matter, it's fucking big. It's big for a reason.
It's big for a reason.
Well, and especially when it
has
has staying power, I think is also when for me,
exactly.
and I've said this for a long time. For me, what I personally connect with, and I think knowing both of you that you're similar, I just want a point of view. I want authenticity. I want to feel like that person's making that song because that's exactly what they needed to be doing in that moment. They're leaving it all there. The stuff that I don't really connect to, and it has its place even, but the stuff that's made for the sake of itself versus like, this is what I have to do, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that crosses all genres, and that goes into filmmaking, books, any type of artistic endeavor. Like if I feel like the person doing it means it, you know, then I can connect to it and appreciate it.
Well, the truth of the matter is, Chad Kroeger never made it as a wise man, and you could tell. You can clearly tell.
I still want to know what's on Joey's head. You know, I may never know.
Yeah, no one will ever know. No one will ever know.
Yeah, I'm with you too on the guilty pleasure thing. Just dissipates because, you know, I saw Miley Cyrus covering Hole on Howard Stern.
What?
And you were like,
a whole combination of things that, like, at various different points, I'd be like, now I'm like, yeah, Howard Stern, cool. Miley Cyrus, cool. This whole song, it's all great together.
Cudi, bro, you saw what Kid Cudi did on SNL. He was good.
Yeah.
Like, what? There's no genres really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, it's insane. Everything blending in such a cool way. You could add a little flavor to rock, or you could add a little flavor here and there, but you're not gonna get one specific anymore, I believe. Bro.
No.
It's great too. For me, as somebody who, you know, I'm old enough that I remember Scott Ian wearing Public Enemy shirts before they did the song with Public Enemy, and that was actually, and then that's how I discovered Public Enemy, and then this dude I went to school with who was into hip hop made a tape for me, and I made metal tapes for him. Yeah. And I put in the Public Enemy tape, and the first thing I heard was them sampling Slayer. I was like,
you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. And that was my gateway, you know what I mean? And then and for me, as someone who still knows all the words to the first 3 House of Pain albums, to see Everlast do songs with Helmet and whatever, and then become like doing acoustic guitar on top of looped like 808s and beats and whatever, and singing country, like all that stuff that used to seem crazy is now so much more accepted because we had those trailblazers. And I like to see you, Hyro, continuing in that tradition of pushing, you know, dragging it that much further along. I think it needs that every few years.
Just wait till the next Atreyu record comes out. We're gonna be pushing that polka metal to the population. No one even knows what's coming.
Gonna be getting that Weird Al Yankovic accordion guest appearance.
A lot of dunka beats. Dunka.
The last Atreyu song was epic, bro. God.
Thank you, bro.
Like, whoa, bro. Insanity.
And I was just looking at the active rock charts before we jumped on, and there it is.
Man,
yeah, bro,
it's chilling right there on the charts.
It's moving.
And that feels good when you look at that and you see friendly, familiar names all over that chart right now. That does make, going back to what Brandon was saying about things cycling around, it's like, this feels nice to know that our team collectively, our community is like,
and like Rock is doing this thing. Like, shout out New Year's Day, Ash and them on fucking WrestleMania, bro. Like,
yeah, just the other night,
It's crazy, man. Shout out Ash. She was on my Flag China album, man, New Year's Day. I was just looking in amazement, like, bro, this is crazy, man. Like, what? You feel me?
Absolutely.
And I also was tripping because I'm like, whoa, I'm really in this rock world? What? This is crazy. I know this person.
And that's what's great too, is because at its best, you know, like anything, people get competitive and there's interpersonal drama and whatever. But for the most part, at its best, I think this genre, much like hip hop, it's like all for one for all. When one of us succeeds, you know, it's like the big wave lifts all boats and all that. You know, it's like we're all celebrating each other and helping each other and being proud of each other's victories. And
that's the most
important. One of the things I
thing.
love about it. Yeah.
That's why I'm still a fan. I've said this all the time. I'm still a music fan. I shout out every band that I think is doing something awesome, and I buy the vinyl and I do the shit still because like I'm still a fan. Like if I can't be a fan, how can someone be a fan of me?
Right.
You know what I mean?
This is what I love about the rock community, because like you said, you listen to Public Enemy, you listen to this and that. Rock was real accepting of hip hop in the beginning stages, you know what I'm saying? Because you know, rock realized it's the same attitude, you know what I'm saying? We sharing the same pain, it's the same attitude. We just presenting that attitude differently. Now with hip hop, it's all about being cool and being chill and we vibe. So in hip, we're not understanding, yo, why they screaming like that? You get what I'm saying? So it took a little time to realize, yo, they feel like we feel. But since it's presented such differently, it just took a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah, and this is the kind of stuff, not to get too esoteric about it, but this is the kind of stuff that changes the world, you know, because art translates and communicates with people and bridges gaps in a way that, you know, nothing else can. And music in particular, you know, it moves people, and you can empathize with, you know, like empathy being such a difficult thing for people. Music can put you right there in somebody's situation. You could listen to Taylor Swift and be like, oh, if I was a 19-year-old girl going through a breakup in the South, you know what I mean? Like,
I get it.
But like experiences that you would never have, you know, like music can put you there.
And then what's crazy is you can change the track and go into a whole nother world.
Exactly.
Dang, bro. You can't, that never go away from us.
I'm in Norway burning a church down in the dead of winter.
I could feel the flames.
Awesome. Well, dudes, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And Hyro, I know we're going to have you back. Brandon, obviously, this is a continuing conversation that we're in.
Yeah. I just take any opportunity to talk to you that I can. So
likewise.
I'm always in.
So we'll just, it's like just wherever we do it under whatever guise we do it next.
For sure.
But yeah, thanks so much, you guys. And before we jump, where can we find each of you? I know, Brandon, you're really active on Twitch right now, like we were talking about.
Yeah, I'm on Twitch a few days a week, twitch.tv/Brandon Saller. You can find me on Instagram too, the Brandon Saller, or Twitter, Brandon Saller.
Yeah, me at Hyro the Hero, man. Instagram, Facebook, everything except Twitch. Twitch Hyro the Hero official, because somebody might have stole my name, and I ain't on there a lot. But when I get on there, be on there, man. I'm gonna start getting on there a lot because I've been playing 2K
all the way down.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, bud.
Look forward to it, and see you both soon.
Hey,
see you guys,
man. Good seeing y'all.
Peace.
Hey.
It's running through my veins, running through my veins. You